Bonjour, voici vidéo 2C pour le comparatif. This is when we want to compare two things to each other. We will use plus and either an adjective or an adverb, que, moins que, or aussi que, and that means more than, less than, or as much, or whatever, as. So the que means a little bit different in English only because we use a different form than the French do. But that shouldn't throw you off too much. Alright, the most important thing to remember when you're comparing adjectives is that the adjective in the middle here has to agree in number and gender with the subject that you're discussing. And then we'll talk a little bit about adverbs and comparisons and a few other things. Let's go to exercice F. Exercice F. À la page 17. À la page 17. Compare the following objects and people using the suggested adjectives. Be sure to make the adjectives agree with the nouns they modify in gender and in number. Modèle, ma soeur, mon frère. You're going to compare my brother, my sister, and my brother with the adjective grand. Ma soeur est plus grande que mon frère. In this exercise, it's asking you to use plus for everyone, but we will substitute out a couple with moins and aussi just so that you get the feel for how to do that. And you'll have some more exercises in your workbook as well that'll go over that. So let's look at the first one. Le chemin qui est à gauche et le chemin qui est à droite. And we're going to be using long. First of all, le chemin is the path or the way. And then qui est à gauche, hopefully that rings a bell. À gauche, à droite, those are directions. À gauche, to the left. À droite, to the right. So let's compare those two. Again, stop the playback here so that you can write out your answers first, because I'm going to give you the answers as we go along. Okay, numéro 1, le chemin qui est à gauche est plus long. This is le chemin, so long works, que le chemin qui est à droite, plus long que. Numéro 2, un hippopotame, une vache, gros. So we're looking at a hippopotamus and a cow. The gender of the first noun being compared determines the adjective, number, and gender that you'll be using. So we have un hippopotame, masculine, et plus gros que, yes it is, qu'une vache. Okay? Because we're saying the hippo is bigger. So he gets the adjective. Let's turn that around. Let's say that the vache is bigger than the hippopotamus. Maybe it's a big cow and a baby hippo. So we have la vache est plus, and then we have to make this feminine, don't we? Grosse qu'un, and then that would be hippopotame. So we can switch it around. Whatever is here, the noun that begins your sentence, is the one that determines what adjective form you'll choose. Let's go to numéro 3. Le berger, le loup. And our comparison is gentil. So we have the shepherd and the wolf, who's nicer, or more gentle. Le berger est plus gentil que le loup. Plus gentil que. He is nicer than the wolf. Numéro 4, les histoires, les exercices, intéressants. So we have les histoires. That looks like our word for history, but in this case, the meaning is stories. And exercises, les exercices, something that you would complete in class, like your French exercises. And we have intéressant. Here you're going to need to know what the gender of histoire is. And hopefully you remember that it's feminine. So we have les histoires sont, and we have to change our verb. It's plural. Plus intéressant. it is feminine, so we have to have an E and an S. Que les exercices. Les histoires sont plus intéressantes que les exercices. Numéro 5. Mes parents, mes grands-parents, and énergique. Okay, so all we have to do is be concerned with the fact that they're plural, right? Mes parents, we need plural verb again, sont plus énergiques. Énergique. Sorry. Mes parents sont plus énergiques que mes grands-parents. Oops, what did I forget? Absolument, j'ai oublié mon S. Mes parents sont plus énergiques que mes grands-parents. My parents are more energetic than my grandparents. Numéro 6. L'algèbre, le français. Compliqué. So we're going to compare l'algèbre et le français. So we have l'algèbre et, singular again, plus compliqué que le français. Algebra is more complicated than French. Maybe not everyone would agree with that. I certainly do. And numéro 7, une voiture, une bicyclette. So both of these are feminine, but we have the adjective rapide, which already ends in an E, so we don't have to worry about that. Kind of nice, those adjectives that end in an E like that. So we have une voiture et plus rapide qu'une bicyclette. A car is faster than a bicycle. Okay, that completes exercise F. Let's turn around and do a couple of these with moins and a couple of these with aussi, just to get the feel for that. Let's go back to numéro 4. It was les histoires and les exercices and intéressants. What if I want to say stories are less interesting than exercises? What will I need to do to be sensitive? Let's just get rid of all these plus and get rid of all these que and figure it all out all over again. You've had a minute to think about that. What if I want to say that stories are less interesting? Well, I simply just put moins here instead, right? Moins intéressant, less interesting than. Okay. What if I want to say that my parents are less energetic than my grandparents? If I want to say they're less energetic, moins énergique que. Okay, I probably get that idea pretty well. And what if I want to say something is as complicated as something else? Number 6 is a good example. Maybe you think that Français is as complicated as algebra. In that case, we're just going to use le français est aussi compliqué que l'algèbre. It's as complicated as. And again, we'll say as here instead of than, but it doesn't matter. It's the same idea. It's still a comparison, and it's more regular in French. They're actually more logical about it than we are. And how about we're talking about, say, Lance Armstrong on a bicycle and your grandmother in the car, and they are as fast as each other. Well, Lance Armstrong might not be that fast anymore, but somebody young like that who can ride really quickly. Hopefully you know who Lance Armstrong is. Alrighty, let's move on. So we want to say as fast as. I know you already know this. Aussi rapide que. Okay. Ma grand-mère dans la voiture est aussi rapide que Lance Armstrong sur une bicyclette. Très bien. Okay, What if I want to compare adverbs? I do it the exact same way. I just put the adverb in the middle of my comparison instead of an adjective. In this case, of course, then the adverb doesn't have to agree in number and gender because it's actually a comparison of how something is done rather than what something is. So let's just look at exercice G real quick, l'adverbe. I want to just show you a couple of those. Compare the ways in which these activities are done. See, we're not comparing things anymore. We're talking about how they're done. Adverb. Modèle. Le cheval galope vite. And we're going to compare him to le chameau. Le cheval galope plus vite que le chameau. The horse gallops faster than the camel. Ou je mange souvent des hamburgers. And we're talking about des escargots. Let's compare those. Je mange plus souvent des hamburgers que des escargots. I eat hamburgers more often than snails. And notice how I changed that word order around to make it make sense in English. I don't say it exactly how it's written, word for word in French. All right, so we can put an adverb in the middle there and compare how something is done. The last thing that I want to talk about are some irregular forms. Just like in English, we don't say more good, we say better. In French, they have some irregular forms for the adjective beau in a comparison and irregular forms for the adverb bien in a comparison. Okay, so if I want to say more good, I'm going to use the form meilleur. We don't say more good in English, and we don't say it in French either. We use meilleur. This is better. Okay? And the feminine form, meilleur, pronounced the same. Plural would be meilleur, and plural feminine, meilleur. All four are pronounced the same. And that's better, adjective. Okay? When I want to say that something's better, and I'm talking about an adverb, instead of using bien, I'm going to use mieux. And since it's an adverb, and adverbs only have one form, mieux is it. So mieux also means better, but it is for an adverb comparison. Okay? People make mistakes with good and better and best, and even good and well all the time in English. As far as I know, the French also make mistakes with this. Maybe not to the degree that we do, but this is something that's very easy to get mixed up. So you're going to have to pay extra close attention when you're saying something, that you're saying the adjective meilleur as opposed to the adverb mieux when you want to say better, because they both mean better. I hope that was clear. If not, write down your questions or email me them, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in class. Let's go to exercice K, à la page 19. We're going to supply meilleur or mieux in the blanks depending on which would be grammatically correct in the sentence. Exercice K, à la page 19. Okay, so we're going to be looking at, are we describing how something's done, or are we describing a person, place, or thing? Do we need an adverb or an adjective? Numéro 1. Vous parlez blank, anglais ou le français? Okay, here I'm talking about how well I speak English or French. And if I'm speaking about how well I do something, then I need an adverb. If I need an adverb, then I need the form what? If you said mieux, you're exactly right. Bon travail. Good job. Vous parlez mieux l'anglais ou le français? Do you speak better French or English? Okay? Numéro 2. Vous faites blank vos devoirs quand vous écoutez les conseils du professeur. Here I've got a verb again. You do blank your homework when you listen to the instructions of the professor. So I want to say you do your homework well. You do your homework better. Right? That's an adverb, so we're going to want mieux again. You do your homework better when you listen to the instructions from the professor. Numéro 3. François est élève que sa sœur. Okay, this is a little bit different here. We've got François, and then we have élève, and then we have que. as well. François is something, student, than his sister. So we're talking about élève here. We're not talking about a verb, we're talking about a student. So we need an adjective. François is a better student than his sister. We're not saying he studies better, we're saying he's a better student. So we need the adjective that matches François, which is masculine. So we want meilleur. François est meilleur élève que sa sœur. Numéro 4. David obéit que ses frères. So we're talking about how well David obeys as opposed to his brothers. If we're talking about how well, and we've got a verb, it's got to be an adverb, which makes it mieux. So we've got David obéit mieux que ses frères. He obeys better than his brothers. And the last one, cette histoire est blank que les autres. This story is than the others. So we're talking about better here again, but which one do we need? Here we're talking about a story, a noun, so we want an adjective to describe that. Cette histoire gives us a little hint there, and maybe you remember from the last exercise that it's feminine. Cette shows us that. So we need the feminine form of meilleur. With an E on the end. Cette histoire est meilleure que les autres. This story is better than the others. All right, that will complete this segment. Au revoir.